2026-02 downtown infrastructure.
We also have a representative from CFS here. Do you have any questions?
Very good. Does anybody want to ask, have any discussion or want to ask the representative?
Second yet, we didn't second yet.
No. So we have a motion on the table now, a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
A motion and a second, but we're not going to take the vote yet until we go to discussion. All right.
Okay.
Did anybody have anything you want to ask this gentleman?
Does he have anything he wants to tell us?
Go ahead. You said, do you have anything you'd like to tell us?
Sure.
If you could please state your name.
Tax ID number.
Yeah, hold it down for a second.
There we go.
Perfect.
Yes, my name is Saban Yanez. I'm a Senior Vice President and Principal with Cook Flat and Strobel Engineers. We're pleased and really appreciative of the opportunity to serve the city of Odessa on this project. As we looked at the project and working with your staff, certainly know this has been one you've been trying to get accomplished for quite a while. A little bit about our firm. Our firm has been around since 1961. We do a lot of public infrastructure work, everything from planning all the way through construction, inspection services, material testing services, which of the services we'll provide for this project. You will see frequently one or two of our inspectors on site as this project is rolling. As the city administrator mentioned, once the bid award is taken care of and contracted, we will be engaged directly with the contractor on your behalf. A little bit of background about me and our firm from the standpoint of why this project was important. I was 20 years with MoDOT prior to the last 20 years as a partner in the firm.
We'll try not to hold that against.
Yeah, I was hoping that someone might avoid that topic. I got you. I'm 20 years gone though, so it's all good. But I'm very familiar with the process. We understand the paperwork, the separation of projects. And so our lead construction manager also is a retiree at MoDOT and been with us for about 9 or 10 years. So we feel like we're in good shape to take care of you. And we look forward to working with you.
Very good. Any questions?
Where are you out of?
We have multiple offices. I'm out of the Kansas City, Missouri office, and my responsibility, we have 2 offices in the metro area. One of them is kind of our field services, which is this inspection and materials testing. And then we have a planning and design office, which is in South Kansas City. We headquartered, the company was founded in Topeka, Kansas.
Oh.
And we have an office in Springfield, Missouri, Jeff City, Lawrence, and Holton, Kansas, a small town in Kansas.
Here we go. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. With that, we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Thank you.
5-2. All right, resolution has been approved. All right, city audit presentation for fiscal year 2024-25. This must be more. Okay, come on up.
Hello. I'm Martin Stair. I'm a I'm a manager in creative planning, business services. The audit firm is Murray and KDV. That is the firm that we do our audit work through. I am an employee of creative planning, business services, but we lease me to the audit firm when not doing audit work. So that's why the papers you have in front of you all say Murray and KDV. I'm here to cover the 2024-2025 audit. And
We're getting a mic stand.
No process.
So we're gonna talk about the independent auditor's report. It's basically the reason you pay us is to get that opinion. The opinion that we are issuing this year is an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion available, under audit standards. It's also known as a clean opinion. We do have a couple of things to talk about this year with emphasis of matters. We had some restatements from the prior period. So we have to emphasize those in our audit reports. There'll be a paragraph in the audit report that talks about that. And by the audit report, it's contained in the big packet you guys have. So those restatements were basically, the ARPA funds were treated as revenue in a prior period, and the funds were then put into the fund balance of that fund. And because that grant is not a guaranteed grant until you have met all of the conditions, including spending the money, that really should have been an unearned revenue, which is a liability account. So that's basically the biggest change that you'll see from the prior period. We also had in the proprietary funds, some interfund receivable and payable stuff that, with working with the city, we determined those were not valid receivables and payables between the two funds. So we are removing those from the funds that they were located in the prior period. Yeah, next thing we have an emphasis of matter for is the implementation of a new audit principle this year, which is GASB statement number 101, compensated absences. This statement basically requires the city to record a liability for all paid time off that is eventually going to be used or is more likely than not to be used. The previous standards required disclosure of a liability for vested things that were gonna be paid in a settlement of some sort, whether that's a check or other non-cash settlements. This standard also recognizes time that would not necessarily be paid out by a check, but could be used in a future period. So that's the other emphasis of the matter that you'll see there. Other matters noted in regards to the fiscal 2024 financial statements being audited by another auditor. Whose report was dated July 31, 2025, and we relied upon that audit for our beginning balances. So that's another required piece of the audit report that will just mention that we're relying on that audit, since it was not our work. We can't say we audited the beginning balances. With that, the next piece of the audit report is that it talks about the responsibilities of management and the auditor. The manager is responsible for presenting the financial statements that are pretty material in the statements. The auditor is responsible for designing and executing an audit approach that adheres to the relevant professional standards in order to express the opinion that we express. Finally, our opinion is based on reasonable assurance. It's important that we highlight that it is not absolute assurance. We do testing by selections instead of 100% testing, so we can't offer absolute assurance, but it is designed to provide about 95% confidence in that there is not materials. Reporting on internal control over financial reporting is required by government standards. This is the second report at the back of the packet that you'll see. Again, this is kind of a required reporting because of the government standards portion of this. We did note in that report a material weakness for the adjusting journal entries and restatements of fund balance / net position, and the reliance on the auditors for the preparation of the financial statements, including the footnotes. Most of that is not highly unusual by any means, but with those AJEs, we did feel that warranted a material weakness in the internal control. The other item that we have, we're going to consider a significant deficiency. So a little background on what those are in case people are not familiar. Basically have tiered systems where a deficiency is not something that we would necessarily report to you guys. We might find it and address it with the city administrators. If you have a big enough deficiency or multiple deficiencies, we would step up to the next tier, which is a significant deficiency. And then if it's beyond that, the next step would be the material weakness that we already covered. So this one, the second item is not as severe as a material weakness, but is still worthy of your note. That's for a lack of segregation of duties. We did reduce this from a material weakness level, given the compensating controls such as the finance committee meetings involvement in the process. And then also noting that this is a very common finding for governments of your size and even larger than yours. It just has to do with it not being a practical thing to acquire enough staff and separate all the duties in a way that the financial standards would suggest is the optimal segregation. It's included in the report mostly as an awareness item so that everybody involved remains vigilant of the fact that there are some opportunities that are created by having the smaller staff that's less sick in the duties. With that, I can move to financial results. So this first chart you have is just your general fund balances. Covering a period of 5 years. It breaks it down by non-spendable, restricted, and unassigned. You guys don't have any committed or unassigned balances in there for those 5 years. Non-spendable would be funds that are basically already spent, such as prepaid items. Restricted would be things that you guys have officially set aside for the use of paid debt service. Those kind of things that you guys have, as a council, as the board of aldermen have decided. That you want to only use those funds for this specific purpose. Sometimes that's by debt covenant, sometimes that's by your guys' vote. The biggest thing that you'll see in that chart is the 2022 to 2023 jump. And that jump was caused mostly by the ARPA money. And then it fell this year as we took that ARPA money back out of fund balance and put it into a liability.
I'm sorry, what did you say restricted was?
So restricted is for things that you guys as a board of aldermen have voted, or things that are required through your bond covenants that you have. To only use that money for a specific purpose. Most of the time it's debt service.
And how is that different from non-spendable? Guess I missed that.
So non-spendable is essentially money you've already spent.
Okay.
So that's your like prepaid items.
Yep.
Where you can't spend that money again, but it hasn't actually left your fund yet because it was prepaid, not an actual expenditure yet. And then the unassigned balance is your usable funds. We'll notice that for the last 4 consecutive years, the unassigned fund balance has increased, so that's a positive sign as well. The next page just shows the general fund revenues and in a visualization. The biggest difference between these two visualizations is that taxes went up a little bit between 24 to 25, but the charges for services was reduced significantly, so that led to the big difference in those two categories percentage of the total. The next slide that we have covers the general fund revenues for the last 5 years. It shows it by category: taxes, licenses, and permits, intergovernmental charges for services, fines and forfeitures, and then miscellaneous. Generally, it's increasing and positive in all 5 of the periods. You will notice kind of some big numbers under intergovernmental in 22 and 23. That's a category for grant funding. So whenever you guys spend grant funds like that, I would anticipate next year being a potential year that spikes back up because of the use of the ARPA money. So that's what that category shows. And then the miscellaneous income, kind of the big jump there is significantly larger investment income the last couple of years. So, again, I would venture a guess that that's largely caused by holding on for money. The next slide is the expenditure side of things, just kind of visualizing the breakdown of, what each piece of the pie spent. I don't need to cover a whole lot there, pretty consistent spending. Overall, the next slide shows you the breakdown of the 5 years by category, including the general government, public safety, highways and streets, municipal court, and capital outlay categories. The general government spending has increased in all 5 years, as well as public safety, and the highways and streets has increased for 4 straight years. Other than that, municipal court is generally increasing overall. There is an outlier in the second of the 5 years. And capital outlays are kind of all over the place, but seems to be stabilizing. Again, you guys have a capital outlay plan in place at this point, so that should kind of direct that, and you'll see jumps, I assume, in accordance with that, so, because there are some varying levels in that plan. The next slide that we have is the water utility fund, I hope. Unless I skip one.
Yep.
And when it's in color, it looks a little different. So this just kind of covers the revenues and expenditures of the water fund. And you'll see that in all years, it was an income or overall profit to the water fund, with the exception of 2025. Prior, if you don't consider the depreciation, which is a non-cash expenditure, then that had a profit as well. So that depreciation for having replaced some assets. You'll see a significant jump in that in 23. So there must have been some large purchases then that created kind of some higher depreciation for a period. I can't speak too much to that since we weren't doing the audit back then, but that would be my assessment of that trend. The next fund that we have is the wastewater utility fund. Again, this has been fairly steady over the years, so there's not a lot of note there, but I do show the numbers and the revenues, the expenses, the operating income, and the income without depreciation. And then finally, we have the electric fund. One thing to note here is the increasing depreciation, so that's part of the decreasing net income. Is as you guys have been doing more and more projects and updating assets, that's led to current depreciation in the past. Hasn't been as significant as the assets that are being replaced cost less than the ones they're buying now, so that creates bigger depreciation. With that, I don't have anything else to present, so thank you guys very much for allowing us to come in and do this audit. And big thank you to Kathy and her staff and everybody involved with the city's responses to our questions and that kind of stuff. They made it very easy for us to work on this, and we appreciate that. So they've been great to work with. I'll open it up for any questions if people have them at this time.
I have one question. And it might not be a question specific, it might be a question for Sean, and if that's the case, we take that for him. Okay, so looking at the general fund revenues, we see charges for services grew, they doubled from 2021 to 2025, so we're getting more revenue coming in from services. But if I look at all the utility funds and whatnot, I don't see correlating increase that much.
So the charges for services in the general fund are not produced by your proprietary fund, which is
Okay.
your water, electric, and wastewater. Those are gonna be more things like collecting at the pool, and the pool amendments, your fees and fines and stuff like that, go into charges for services.
Court costs, dog licenses,
Yeah.
all that. Business licenses would be general fund.
Yeah, your biggest ones, yeah, were your licenses and permits, and then the trash service is included in that as well, because it's not its own proprietary fund.
So charges for services and licenses and permits are two different categories here.
No, you're right, I'm sorry. No, charges for services is where the trash is.
Trash.
That makes sense.
What else would be under that to, if our utilities aren't in that, utility services, what other services?
I'm guessing,
Could be.
well, no, it wouldn't be only trash. I will have to
I
look
can
it
get
up.
your specific,
Yeah.
yeah, it's things like your trash and then like any of the park stuff, like selling concessions at the parks. That kind of stuff would also go into your charges for services account there.
Also, 2023 would have been when we started our 5-year new contract with Republic. So that could have had a,
Yeah, if trash is in that.
yeah.
Would general fund revenue include allocation of services or allocation of expenses to the enterprise?
It does,
Okay.
yes.
What does that specifically mean? Expenses.
Chart, if the general fund pays the utility clerk and then at the end of the year, we allocate per cost to the utility funds. Split it up to the utility funds to reimburse the general fund.
Okay. So it could be paying some salaries then.
Other questions?
Could you explain to me a little bit on the pension? We have a $700,000, $775,000 that is showed as an asset for our proportionate share of the pension fund.
Yes,
And if we lowered that from a 7% future value to a 6%, meaning that they don't make quite as much money on their investments, then we go to a $600,000 liability.
yes,
Am I looking at that correctly?
you are, yes.
If they make just a little bit less than
Correct.
7%, we go in the hole in our pension funding.
You can look at it that way, yes. The liability versus the asset with the pension is a little bit odd in that you're never going to write a check for that liability.
Right.
And you're never going to get to cash that asset out. But yeah, that is what that sensitivity is showing you, because the fund is so large. It does not take a big difference in earnings percentage. So if you're at 7% is what they aim for and what they do generally achieve. It wouldn't take but a 1 point drop in that interest rate to end up at a point that under other current circumstances, you would have a liability to the pension fund, which is asset. So that just means that your total pension liability would at that point be larger than your fiduciary fiduciary net position of the fund right now.
Right.
So currently you guys have a fiduciary net position that shows that you have more than the actual liability. And that would change with the 1% change in pension. That's not unusual, and actually you guys are in a great position right now because most governments of your size, and again, even larger, carry a liability for the most part. It's somewhat rare to have a pension asset like that, so you guys are in a pretty strong place with that.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Yeah, nothing. I'll thank you guys again for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, another presentation, budget CIP. Yeah,
Okay.
all right.
You get them in your corners.
That's.
Okay, so. You guys never give me a microphone?
Take it down, Devin.
We're gonna sing, we're gonna dance, we're gonna. I put a very detailed slideshow in your packets. We are not going through 57 minutes of painful numbers tonight. You're welcome. So what I've done, you've got all the details. As I was putting that together, it occurred to me that I probably need to provide that to you on a quarterly basis, and I will start doing that moving forward instead of just as we start doing the budget. So anyway, we're just gonna hit the highlights, general fund. Just keep in mind, our largest tax distribution is our real estate and personal property taxes that come from Lafayette County. Those will come in January, the largest part of that distribution. So all the revenues look like they're a little bit behind, but they really are, by and large, fitting in with where they should be. We are up over budget in interest, grants, and donation income. The police department has done a phenomenal job this year getting different grants to support their services. They've also gotten some donations towards specific projects like the drone that we're trying to get. So, and then interest, the interest rates have been up. If you've borrowed money, you've been paying more, but you're also getting more on your returns. So we've been able to get some more interest income. We've also done some reallocation of some of our funding, so we're not leaving a large amount in non-interest bearing accounts. We've shifted a lot of those funds over to where they're earning more interest for us, so that is positive. None of the interfund transfers are happening yet. They're not going to happen until the end of the year. But revenues, general fund, overall looking pretty good. From the expense side, we've talked about it. We are doing things about it. You're going to see a common theme in all of the funds from the credit card processing fees. They're all over budget. We know that. Fixing it, we're moving forward. So that will be better next year. We've had conversations as well about our attorney fees across the board, tracking higher than what we had anticipated. The finance committee at the meeting last week said that they want us to do an RFQ for legal services, and it's on the whiteboard, so it's going to happen. It's just in the process to do that. We also have the other professional services is what we've been paying to navigate for their portion of the downtown sidewalk project. I can tell you from the short time I've been here, that has been money well spent. We do not have an engineer on staff. They are amazing and have done really, really great work to keep the sidewalk project flowing as it should. So, did you have a question?
Yeah, I want to interrupt your flow just a little bit. You talked about interest being higher than it was budgeted. Most people don't know this, but about a month after Kathy came on board, she pretty much tripled our interest earnings from what it was in the past. So Kathy has done a lot for the city that a lot of people don't know about. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, so we're having ice cream for supper again tomorrow night. Yeah. Other expenses, I really appreciate you saying that, Bruce, and we did. I came in with my banker brain and went, why the earth aren't we getting more money out of this? So that's one of the things that we've really worked towards happening. So the police has got a non-operating line for around 50 grand. They got a Blue Shield grant that we were able to buy into part of it. It was in our CIP for next year. We were able to accelerate that to this year. So just another example of them doing a really good job getting us grant funds. Fuel is trending higher. You're going to see that specifically. I'm pointing out here in the streets that you do see that in all of our budget categories. It's just been a little bit higher this year. It's not horrible. It's not like it's jumped and doubled or anything crazy, but it is going to, be a little bit more than the budget had anticipated. From the street department, their operating and maintenance right now is behind budget. If we have an awful winter, that could change. It just is gonna depend on what snow removal looks like for us. Community development, that is, boy, I have done a deep dive into community development the last few months, and it's a lot, but we're gonna fix that. We are bringing you guys plans and we're gonna make this so much better, but our engineering fees, professional services fees, those are higher than what we budgeted for, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing because we're having more development in our community. We're seeing more commercial development, we're seeing more residential development, and every time we have those developments come, we have to have them professionally evaluated. We do not have an engineer on staff. We cannot afford, we're not the size to have an engineer on staff. Same with an inspector. We don't have those things on staff because we're just not there yet. Will we be there someday? Most likely. Are we there today? We are not. So those costs have gone up. One of the things that we're finding as we look at the fee schedule is we are not recouping what we should be in a lot of those areas. So we really are gonna we've done a deep dive on the fee schedule so that when we move into the next budget year, we're not in this business to make money. We are in this business to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. So we want to break. And so those are things that we're looking at to get us where we can pick up. Moving on, what's next? ARPA funds, Mark talked about ARPA funds just a little bit for us. The 9th Street project is substantially complete, so we should get all of that paid out. Depending upon the railroad, if we can get that right away with the railroad and finish that, we will have the ARPA funds completely expended this budget year. And that entire fund will just kind of ride off into the sunset because we are not having another COVID. Electric department, service revenues are trending a little up. I think you're gonna see that in all of our services. We're having more development, our funds are going up. That's just how it's working. They are also seeing the interest position moving forward as well. Overall electric department revenues right where it should be. Contractual services are within budget. Other than credit card, we're gonna have that conversation. I'm not beating the dead horse, but it is there. Developer expenses, we've mitigated risk on that. So we've changed our policies to where if someone comes in and they need to have a transformer that doesn't, I'm gonna start this new business, I have to have a specific transformer that's being paid before we place the order for the transformer. The fees schedule adjustments will help with that as well. So overall, we've been pretty good in that department. Water, I believe, is next. No big surprises there. Service revenue is a little. I 100% put those in the wrong spot, but that's okay. Your other slide shows that it. Service revenue is up a little bit on water. We're still losing money every time we make a tap. We're fixing that with the fee schedule. What you see here is the service revenue for the wastewater. Same thing, there have been more taps, connection fees than what we've had in the past, so that is up. And then we were able to get some proceeds disbursement on the wastewater for the 2004 series bond. Those funds have come back to us now. We paid off the 2005 this week. So whatever's remaining in that rebate will come back to us as well. So we'll see that soon. I think, water department, wastewater, their expenditures are what they are. There's been some breakdowns that they've had. There's been some equipment failure that we've had some expenses in water and wastewater both. Some of those were budgeted this year, some of them weren't, but we're trying to find a way to make that work. Park is just kind of its own thing. It's just, they're just different. We fund park a lot through other sources other than the park taxes. Park is not a self-sustainable fund. So we are they have a sales tax, they have program revenue, they also get money from the general revenue to make it work. All of their revenues for the year have been at or just below what they had budgeted, so I think it may have been over anticipated a little bit last year, and we'll try to make some adjustments to this year's budget in that. Their expense side of their budget is really in line with whatever had been budgeted for the year. So parks, no giant surprises. The park board, we provide what we anticipate the revenues will be. The park board does the expense side of their budget and then the programming side of it. So there's a lot of hands in the parks budget, but we'll get through that. All right, I think that's gonna move us into our CIP. You go to the next slide, Shauna.
Park development.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that one. So when somebody comes in and they're gonna do a subdivision, they have the option to contribute financially to a park system or to donate green space to the park system. So when Pine Creek came in and they did their development, they decided we're gonna do a financial contribution. So we've been able to get $24,000 this past year in park development fees. Those fees can be used for any park other than Dyer Park. They have to be used either to develop a new park or to expand on any of our outstanding parks other than our main Dyer Park. So that, they've got some decent revenue there this year. Haven't had that in the past. They've put very minimal expenses. They painted, one of the ball courts over in one of the parks. I don't remember which one it was, but Chestnut. I knew it started with a C. That's all I could get for it. So at any rate, they do have some funds moving into the next year that they'll be able to expand their parks outside of the Dyer Park footprint.
And they are, I can't remember what, the one that's off of, Mason.
That's just.
Phillips Park. Phillips Park, they've been in discussions that Parks Board has about replacing the equipment there with some of these funds and potentially grant dollars too.
Okay, CIP, sales tax right in line with where it should be. Interest income again has been up. And we haven't done the end of year transfers. So the revenues, I really think are gonna be right at or a little above what we had anticipated for the capital improvement sales tax. The expenditure side of that, we're making really good progress on our CIP. The police department, and I cannot see that, that's way too far away from me. So the police department has finished their CIP. They have all of the expenditures completed and ended up with some excess, so they came in under budget on that. The street department, things are moving along really nicely with that, with the exception of the street shed. We put it out for bid. It's really expensive. It was more than we wanted. We've asked them to revise the scope a little bit. We anticipate getting cost on that back this week. I got an email this morning. We should be getting those soon. So we're still optimistic that we can do something to move that forward, but we'll be bringing those revised costs to you guys whenever we get that. Parks has not completed all of their CIP because they had a pump at the swimming pool go down, and so they kind of held on to some of their CIP funds to get that fixed, so it will be fixed this fiscal year and before the pool opens.
Did you guys have a pump go down last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 18-19-year-old pool. It's
They were due.
showing its wear.
But do they go out every year?
No, but there's more than one pump.
They've got 4 pumps on. Question
Yes, sir.
on the last slide. Just point of clarification for me. So the Blue Shields bought the new vehicle. Did we get a second vehicle like scheduled? Or, because you mentioned we're not getting that vehicle for next year.
Okay,
What happened there? What
we
did
had one in the CIP.
Correct.
We have 2 in the CIP for next year, but we went ahead and bought
Gotcha.
one of those with
Gotcha.
the shield.
You just pulled that one ahead.
Yeah, pulled it up here. Admin, we're making progress. You guys have nice new shiny furniture and you can hear us. It's kind of cool. So, we're finishing up that project. We're still in the middle of our job analysis and compensation study. But everything is looking good for all the general fund CIPs. What is this? Electric department is running a little behind on schedule on their CIP. We did get an electric engineer under contract, and so that was some of the projects that they have on this year's CIP. We needed the engineer in place first, so we are moving forward with some of those. The plant rehab, they are gonna get the roof replaced and or repaired or replaced one. And some brickwork done there. The tree trimmers are doing their piece right now. So some things are moving along really well there. Some things have really kind of stalled out and will probably be in next year's CIP. Water department, things are moving along really well there. The only thing that is missing in the water department CIP is the GIS project is not yet complete. It's very close to being complete, but everything else has come in at or below budget. And I wanted to point out the Lime Lagoon, cleaning that sludge out of there, came in $45,000 under budget. So good job on getting that bid out and taken care of. Wastewater. They have everything. The GIS mapping found out this morning that the GIS portion is now complete as far as what the mapping of that is. So, haven't paid all the bills yet, but their project, their CIP is complete. So I think they get the gold star for winning the race. So I know Josh got it, but he always gets a gold star, so we'll give it to Andy. Okay. Transportation tax, I think we're right in line with where we expect things to be with that. Sales and use tax are all on budget. The transportation tax is going to be used for a couple of things. We use that for our street projects. We use that for our downtown sidewalk. We are so incredibly excited the downtown sidewalk project is moving forward. And at our next meeting, we'll have a little more detail for you on that. But as far as transportation tax, everything is falling right in line with what we had anticipated. So I think that, is there maybe one more? Okay, that's it. Any questions you guys have about where we're at right now and what our next steps are?
Can you provide this slide deck as well?
I absolutely will.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Well done, Kathy, thank you. All right. We have a discussion, strategic plan, street census.
Okay, so we're continuing our strategic plan series. So we have, honestly, we took such a long break from it that we have, I don't know what we have. I'll be on it a long day. Well, I know we have water next. So street today and water at the next meeting. So this kind of just shows you our problem statement that came out as a result of the strategic plan. That problem statement being that deteriorating road conditions and insufficient long-term funding have led to public dissatisfaction, with residents demanding more visible and lasting improvements beyond temporary fixes. So we really try to lean into that last bit of the statement, and trying to see how we know that we're making improvements, but we also know that in every circumstance, there's an opportunity to do more. So we want to focus on the more visible and lasting improvements. And that's what you'll see when you look at the action items that we have on the left side. So number one, implement a routine road condition assessment. We can hire someone to do this, but it will be costly in order to do that. So what this is going to consist of is basically an in-house road condition assessment. This is something that Gene and Darren do on an annual basis. Probably more than once a year, to be honest, because you look at it during budget and then you look at it after the winter has kind of changed things around. So this is just really kind of formalizing and documenting the road condition assessment that they currently do. And then utilize asset management systems with GIS and software to prioritize maintenance needs. So we've already started our relationship and have had a relationship with Sam GIS. But there's other ways, once our crews are completely trained on GIS, there is a multitude of ways that we can utilize that mapping system to track where we are with maintenance needs when it comes to our road system. So we plan to try to utilize what we have a little and allow that to grow a little too. And then create a 10-year capital improvement plan. So this is included in all of our utility infrastructure categories or priority areas, but we want to strive towards doing a little bit more when it comes to our capital planning and not just focus on the 5 years, because just like how the road conditions change, the 5-year tends to change too. And we feel if we have a longer capital improvement plan, we can do a much better job at forecasting and planning out for the years as they come. So that'll be a huge improvement. And it also includes not just a 10-year CIP for streets, but also kind of digging into the sidewalk projects as well. So at the bottom, I'll just jump ahead. The last one, implement the sidewalk and stormwater cost share program. There's a lot of other cities that utilize programs like this where it's a 50% cost share for stormwater and for sidewalks. Richmond being one of those comparator cities that utilizes programs like that. So if we can set dollars aside for both of those purposes and split the cost, we can make improvements. And then I'd like to see us make improvements, especially if we receive an additional funding source for dedicated transportation. I'd like to see us utilize some of those dollars to make more significant sidewalk improvements beyond what we're doing in the downtown core. And then collaborate with private sector for road maintenance and investment. So this kind of fits along with our economic development, kind of fits along with community development as well, but we are starting to see some significant growth in our community, and we want to make sure that those areas are growing efficient or sufficiently for the type of growth that comes with us. So if that consists of collaborating with our partners, our development partners, then we'll see what we can do to make that happen and make sure our roads are going to be suited for the type of growth that we're seeing in different areas. Research and train staff on alternative methods for durable repair materials and modern maintenance procedures. So Darren and I have had quite a few conversations about this in particular, but I think what we're wanting to get to in this is the ability for us to look at other options when it comes to our road maintenance and street maintenance. Our program we have today is a street maintenance program. We do chip and seal, we do overlay. We will continue to do overlay, but how can we look at different types of materials used, different types of strategies used to see what makes the most sense for our community. And so this doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do everything completely different, but we are going to put some research into what our options are. So Darren has a really strong relationship with Vance Brothers, who helps them on an annual basis to determine, where improvements need to be made, conditions. They vet the conditions that we determine and make sure that they align and agree with the conditions that we set for each street. So they have offered their services to the Board of Aldermen to come in and talk to you all about what our options are and what they look like and what the pros and cons are, as well as the prices of each of those different options. Anything to add to that?
Not really, because the Vance Brothers can help us with all this, so.
Yeah. Vance Brothers will be helping us overall execute some of these, so. And then develop and implement a stormwater improvement plan. Darren and I talked today that this might be one of the most critical action items on this priority area. Our stormwater program right now has not been hardly even existent, quite frankly. Stormwater has kind of fell to the wayside, unfortunately, but it plays such a critical role in our street infrastructure. So when something breaks, we're fixing it, but we also don't have a revenue source for stormwater at the time. So we do want to look at different ways we can seek a revenue source for stormwater, but at the very minimum, we want to make sure we have a game plan. And there's a lot of ways that we can do that, but we need a complete system analysis of our stormwater and the conditions that they're currently in. So we can, when we do have the funds available, if that's every year or not every year, when we have the funds available, we need to know exactly where we need to be investing those funds into our system. Go ahead.
Would that be the one for the guy that works with you for his yard? Would that be where he would fit in?
Roger, over on, First Street,
Yeah.
or Tom Russell, sorry.
Russell.
Yeah, I mean, his whole yard floods whenever it rains. And
Yeah, he was talking to me about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna have to take some engineering, this will take some engineering to get done, throughout the next 5 years. To see where we need to start, and, we're gonna have to start in town, it's gonna be downtown area with the stormwater and work ourselves out. But we also gotta look at the outside to see what we need to change, as we go through this, because we can't start inside and make all the pipes bigger, and the pipes going out of town are smaller, so it's gonna take a while to get through all this, but, I think it's very important to our streets to make sure we get the water off and away from our streets so we can have better streets.
Well, since all of the downtown water runs into his area. would
Most of that
not
goes
be-
downtown, so.
I mean, would that be,
Yeah, that will be, I mean, that'll probably be one of the first ways we get. Yes, but yeah, his yard that'll probably be one of the first things we work on, is the downtown area that, runs out of Davis Creek, so. It goes all the way across to Dryden, Mason Dryden there, so all that will be looked at.
yeah, well, he asked me that, and
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's been a
this is
problem
good to
for
know.
for a lot of
Yeah,
years.
he
It floods
said.
the whole yard, so,
Okay,
and we've got a couple of them in town like that, so.
thank you.
Okay, and then the last action item we have is develop a maintenance tracking system to monitor all completed repairs. Again, this is something that all of the utility and infrastructure departments as a whole could benefit from, but we don't have a formal maintenance tracking anything for our system as a whole. So definitely something that will help us, one, better understand the impact that we're making, and then maintain that from a documentation perspective and efficiency perspective, so. And then we have a few measures of success. So these are gonna be our performance measures, and we're working now to kind of turn these into performance measures. But the first one there, percentage of roads rated poor or below that receive treatment. So this helps us just make sure that we're staying on to, we're making sure that we're improving the streets that need it the most. And this helps us track that to make sure that's what we're doing on an annual basis. The ratio of dollars spent to life cycle extension received for street projects. So this is also a good measure because it helps us better understand, one, just as a whole, the impact of not just we've invested X amount of dollars this year in our street plan, but also we've extended our system's life by X amount of years. So it takes those two factors and creates a ratio out of that. Next, ratio of cost for preventative maintenance to reactive maintenance. So we kind of dove into this a little bit today, Darren and I. In reality, a lot of the work that we do today is preventative maintenance because we have a street maintenance program, not a street reconstruction program. So this will be an interesting measure to see how it kind of unfolds. I think we'll see very minimal changes in it from year to year, but it'll still be interesting to track. We also have linear street of sidewalks replaced and added annually. This is a pretty straightforward measure, but we want to improve the amount of sidewalk impact that we're having on an annual basis, and this is a very clean way to track that. And then miles of roads resurfaced each year, and this will probably adjust just ever so slightly to lane miles of roads resurfaced each year, just so we can be consistent across the board. So this is also, again, just a straightforward, right now, our best mechanism, we obviously have, we'll make our list of the streets that we are doing each year and the dollar amount. That's what we look at when it comes to performance. This year, we invested X amount of dollars. Last year, we invested X amount of dollars. These performance measures are going to allow us to better put a better picture to what our reach is when it comes to our street infrastructure and the improvements that we're making. Any questions? Any comments, Damon?
Thanks about right now. Yeah, the resurfacing part, if we're gonna have years that goes down to nothing, because we've got to do maintenance on the roads that we've already resurfaced. So like next year is one of them that we're gonna go back and try to seal everything that we have resurfaced, and so we make sure it doesn't go downhill when we're resurfacing the roads the year after. So every once in a while, it looks like a hiccup in that where we don't get as many resurfaced. It'll be more of a maintenance thing with either chip seal or slurry seal we're looking to both of them. So just to keep that in mind. And right now, we did the math on the preventative maintenance and reactive, and we're running about 82% preventative maintenance, 17% reactive. So reactive is more of street cuts and potholes and get them fixed with other calls and stuff. And have control over that what being built in town and sewer put in street cuts. So that a lot of that's that. So but we're keeping up on the preventive maintenance to try not to have so much data.
Another thing we discussed is that in order to create a sidewalk program of any type, that would require some ordinance revision on the Board of Aldermen's behalf. So there's a lot of kind of question or gray area when it comes to, can a resident rip out a sidewalk? Can they install a sidewalk? Whose responsibility is that? Things like that. So we've talked a little bit about sidewalk ordinances and policies, but that was really in regards to the downtown area. In reality, we need to look at it on a more global perspective and a citywide perspective. So we'll do that before we can really get any type of program off the ground.
I just have a comment. Darren mentioned reactive maintenance, and there's always gonna be that. It's just gonna exist. But in general, this entire strategic plan shows a commitment to being very proactive with finding out problems, seeking out solutions ahead of time before they happen. So I think as we go forward, we're proactive on everything in the strategic plan, including streets, including water. We're gonna see those reactive needs go down. And that's gonna save the city money over time. So kudos on the strategic plan and what's going on. So I'm a proactive person, so I like to see proactive things and proactive. The city needs to be more proactive in discovering the solutions going forward. Just wanted to mention that. So thank you for your.
Thank you.
All right.
Can we go back to me for a minute? I'm sorry, nice to have you. I was supposed to print this and email it and send it to you today, and I just remembered it. So this is our budget timeline. I should have talked about that when I was speaking. We do have workshops at 4:30 our next 3 meetings. Just a heads up, and I will send this out to you with that other slide down. At 4:30.
She said.
I didn't touch you.
All right, next scheduled meeting is Monday, January twenty-sixth, 6 o'clock right here.
4:30.
Why is it scheduled board meeting?
Mhm.
Shut
Okay.
We're clear on that. Workshops at 4:30, meeting at 6. Right now is the time where Aldermen can request items be put on the agenda. Are there any such requests?
Workshops are open to the community, right?
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. Okay. Nothing further, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? 5-0, we are adjourned.